Pleasure to have you on the show, sir.
Good morning, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Part of me, in terms of the shutdown, and it's my pleasure, by the way, I almost want to start with this shutdown seems to may have been played into Donald Trump's hand. He did campaign on draining the swamp, reducing the size and the scope of government. This does present, given the OMB pronouncement on this does present an opportunity for Donald Trump to whittle down the size and scope of the number of employees in the federal government. Isn't that like a positive thing? I know Chucky Schumer's having an aneurysm over it, but this sounds like an ideal opportunity to whittle away the fat in government.
Absolutely. The president's already spoken on that. And, I think hopefully that's going to be something that pushes them forward to get this ridiculous shutdown ended sooner rather than later. During a shutdown, the families will be hurt, farmers will be hurt, border security and border patrol agents may not be paid. And those are not my words; those are the words of Hakeem Jeffries the last time the shutdown came around. So hopefully they'll make sense of this and get the government running again, because a lot of people are going to be hurt by this, and primarily it's people they allegedly care about. Well,
that's true, but Schumer's statement. Well, there it is. Trump admitted himself that he's using Americans as political pawns, and by the word Americans in this particular case, he's talking about government employees, right? I mean, he says he's admitting that he's doing the firing of people. If God forbid that happens, he's using Americans as pawns. Again, the subset of all of us out here in the unwashed masses who can face termination from their employment on a moment's notice. We have we all are subject to this. I mean, I've been through corporate reorganizations. People lose their jobs. I've seen a number of articles, even of late, like the airline industry shedding 4,000 jobs. Why? Well, artificial intelligence or whatever. They're streamlining the processes. We're not immune from being fired, but the moment any federal worker deals with the idea and the concept of maybe not getting a paycheck or losing their job, it's as if the world came to an end with Democrats.
Right, and the Democrats talk constantly about the need for all these massive numbers of federal workers, but now when they're willing to put those very people that they say they care about in danger in order to push forward their agenda, which favors in every way possible illegal aliens. I mean, they've done it under the previous administration where they brought in as many as they could. When they didn't cross the border fast enough, they set up a private jet service so people could call in and get brought to the United States. And they all voted against the one big beautiful bill that would strip federal benefits for illegal aliens at the same time. And actually during that debate, I watched I think about 105 Democrats walk up to the podium and individually make the same motion. The essence of which was that fraudsters and illegal aliens should be able to continue to receive federal benefits that are meant for Americans. And now they're going to shut down the government in order to protect the illegal aliens they have in the country now. It's abandoning all the people that they allegedly care about again.
Well, and those benefits, sorry about that, I had a cough button issue. Those benefits are the subsidies that kicked in as a consequence of COVID-19, where the cap of $62.5 to get some supplements. You couldn't get it if you made $62.5 and $1. So that was in place before COVID. COVID, an excuse to lift that cap and give even some very, very wealthy people assistance with their insurance premiums under an Obamacare plan. That's going to go back. They knew this was going to end when the bill that allowed the supplements got passed. It had a finite date. It's the end of this year. I mean, it's not like they didn't see this coming. Now they're talking about, oh my God, the world's going to come to an end. Wasn't the world going to come to an end when you put a finite date for these supplements to stop? Right?
Exactly. And it's a date that they picked. And the pandemic's been over for years now. It's way past time for us to go back to normal operating procedure. But these benefits that they passed, that they voted in, make their base happy. So they're going to do whatever they can to defend them.
Well, and I guess I'm kind of wondering, considering those that make 400% or less of poverty level are still going to get the supplements, isn't that really their base? Those low-income Americans who will cling to federal subsidies and lifelines that they perceive them to be. This is, again, more well-heeled folks that are getting their subsidies cut off.
No, I agree 100%. And that's why this whole situation doesn't make much sense.
Right.
Honestly, I think that the only reason behind it that I can see that makes sense to me, and I haven't heard anybody else say this, but I'm sure lots of people are thinking it. They are seeing Donald Trump's policies working for all American people. The GDP just came out and it was more than 2 times higher than what the CBO estimated it would be. Inflation's going down, wages are going up, trillions of dollars being invested in American businesses, and we secured the border. We're removing the criminal aliens that they imported, and they're desperate to stop that momentum. And honestly, this is about the greatest lengths you can go to. And every single one of these people shouting for the shutdown on the Democrat side of in the past said how dumb shutdowns are. There's Nancy Pelosi in 2018 said there's no such thing as a good shutdown of government. I guess unless it serves Democrat pet projects here.
David Taylor, you anticipated my next question. These subsidies came about during COVID-19. Who was clamoring for shutting down non-essential businesses? Who's for shutting down churches where you were going to mingle with people and you didn't need to do that? Who shut down, mom and pop stores and told people they could only shop at one side of the aisle to a Home Depot and not the other side? I mean, there's non-essential workers that aren't going to work today in federal government. Non-essential. They're the ones that declared non-essential businesses, and of course declaring religion and the free exercise of religion and the right to freedom of assembly, a constitutionally enshrined right. They're the ones that declared those days were over during COVID. So I guess it depends on whose ox is being cored, isn't it?
Absolutely, and all those ridiculous requirements that led to the shutdown of schools and businesses we're finding out more and more were negotiated between Democrats, the CDC, and teachers unions based on zero science whatsoever. So we need some accountability for that too. Their lives were ruined and lost during that time frame, and that never should have happened.
Well, we know that Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid payments will continue. That is not a problem. It's not going to get shut down. Federal workers ultimately will get paid when they go back to work, assuming that they do and don't quit. I did read, Congressman Taylor, maybe you can confirm this, that 100,000 federal workers resigned and took their early buyout package yesterday. So we've already shaved off 100,000 with that in one day. Is that right?
The last word I saw was they were threatening to. I'll have to confirm today if that paperwork actually got filed.
All right. Well, who's truly going to be implicated by a government shutdown? Since essential services are going to remain in place, I even note that they're not going to close the parks down. They're not going to bar you from seeing the World War II memorial from behind a gate.
Yeah, I'm sure that a lot of the national park employees are going to be deemed unessential, though. Like there's certain monuments, especially in D.C., you can enjoy from a distance that don't require staffing of any kind. But lots of federal workers who an intern in our office is non-essential. Our core staff is essential, so that's important. That's here, my district staff and my Washington D.C. staff. But it does affect a lot of rank and file federal workers and bureaucracies, and that's honestly that's. As you said earlier, it creates the opportunity for President Trump to make some long-needed changes in these bloated agencies that not only have too many people, but have lost the direction of what they're intended to be doing. So I hope that that's motivation for the Democrats, even though we'd miss out on a chance to get some of that done. I think it'd be better if they just said, don't risk it, and let's ask the clean CR, because that's what they asked for. They asked for a clean CR. Short term, which we gave them. Then once they got that, they've got their laundry list of ridiculous demands. Right,
and the Clean CR keeps us at the ridiculous funding levels that were set last year, which are way too high. I mean, I don't know why they complain about that. That's a gift right there, and it's really irked a lot of my listeners that we didn't have a CR that spent less money. But it put the ball firmly in the Democrats' court, given that funding levels remain at the current level, yet they rejected that. It would have done that all the way through November. Why? So you could go back to work on the 12 appropriation bills, and correct me if I'm wrong, Congressman Taylor, during which time you can ask for the return of these subsidies if you can wrangle it and negotiate during the sausage-making process.
Right, and you're right on both counts. This is the same CR that they agreed to 6 months ago, and one that they've passed 13 times under President Biden. They've never seen a CR they didn't like until this time. The good news on the appropriations bills, and this is more motivation for them to try to throw some sand in the gears is we've got all 12 appropriation bills out of committee. They're ready to go to the floor.
Oh,
So we can. The Senate has, I believe, 7, possibly 8 of their appropriations bills done. So we're on the precipice of having our first budget in 31 years, which would be great. And obviously that will be very bad headlines for the Democrats. So I'm just hoping the motivations that they see to pass the CR outweigh the ones they have to try to grind everything to a halt.
well, I guess now I'm wildly curious to see what's in the 12 in the appropriation bills that have come out of committee, because quite often it disappoints a lot of my friends and me that Republicans also will pile on for additional spending because, well, their state has an interest that needs to continue funding, and we're not going to cut my interest off. So you guys over in those other states cut it off. There's always that, again, sausage making process. We end up with a budget that far exceeds the prior year's budget.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure all of us, me included, will have issues with the bills in their final form, but I got to think it's better than this, kick the can down the road and, hang this albatross around our grandchildren's necks that we're doing now. We've been living on CRs for far too long. A not perfect budget is better than no budget. We're going to get the closest we can to the best budget. Well, we're going to get the best budget we can, close to perfect as we can get.
Well, that's good, and only by doing 12 appropriation bills can you avoid the monstrosity that is an omnibus spending bill.
Right. That's why I was encouraged on this one. That's why I was happy to vote for the CR, even though I hate CRs. It is short term, and there is good reason to do it because we are on the verge of actually putting forth the budget. And we passed the all 12 appropriation bills out of the House. That'll put pressure on Senate Democrats to actually act on a budget for a change, and that's Congress's number one job. That's what we're supposed to be doing there. We haven't done it in forever.
1997. That's a terrible track record, Congressman. Taylor, you're not part of that track record. I'm glad to see you're working hard to get back to regular order, which we're desperate for out here in the unwashed mass world we live in. Congressman David Taylor, any further comments on where we are? What's the next step as you see it coming? And is this shutdown going to last very long if you had to read tea leaves?
Well, I don't think it's going to last very long. I get accused of being an optimist now and again, but also I don't think, what I've been surprised by, Brian, is they're not getting their water carried by the national media the way they usually do.
Right.
So there's usually all these outlets of all kinds, from ABC, NBC, CBS to the cable networks, traditionally go wall-to-wall coverage saying Republicans have caused this shutdown. Republicans are starving babies and killing old people. You're not seeing much of this. You're actually seeing some Democrat leadership on TV getting asked reasonably fair questions that they're not used to. And it's hard for them to answer with their long track record of always supporting a clean CR, never voting against one. All this rhetoric they put out, which is actually true for a change, shutting down the government is a bad thing. And I think it's going to be hard for them to hold the line. And honestly, I think their numbers will get worse and worse if they don't get the federal government running again.
Congressman David Taylor, it's always a distinct pleasure having you on the program. Keep up the great work. I wish you all the best as we move forward in this process, and hopefully it inures to our collective benefit. We, the American taxpayers, have significant concern about where we are. The deficit keeps getting bigger, and the hole keeps getting deeper, and the debt service keeps getting more and more significant every year. Congressman Taylor, you're always welcome here on the 55 KRC Morning Show. Look forward to having you back on again real soon.
Thank you, my friend. Have a great day.
You do the same.